The crystal glass slipped from trembling fingers, and a wave of deep red wine crashed across the chest of a quiet man standing near the grand ballroom stage. A heartbeat later, laughter echoed through the room as more than 200 elegantly dressed guests turned to watch the humiliating scene. Some smiled. Others whispered. A few even raised their phones. The man simply lowered his eyes, gently wiped the stain from his jacket with a folded handkerchief, and remained silent. If this happened to you, surrounded by hundreds of strangers who judged you without knowing your story, would you walk away in anger, or would you quietly endure the pain? Sometimes the greatest strength is invisible until the moment the truth finally arrives. The annual charity gala in downtown Chicago was one of the most exclusive business events in the United States. Billionaires, executives, investors, and politicians gathered beneath sparkling chandeliers to celebrate a record-breaking year of innovation. Every guest wore expensive designer clothing, every table shimmered with polished silver, and every conversation revolved around influence and success. Yet among all the luxury stood one man dressed in a simple navy suit that looked almost ordinary compared to everyone else. His name was Nathan. His shoes showed faint signs of wear, his tie was modest, and he carried himself with the quiet confidence of someone who never felt the need to impress anyone. Many guests assumed Nathan was part of the catering staff or perhaps a forgotten assistant who had wandered into the wrong section of the ballroom. They overlooked him without a second thought. One young executive named Matthew laughed with several colleagues after noticing Nathan standing alone near the back of the room. They joked about how someone so plainly dressed could never belong among America's wealthiest leaders. Their careless words floated through the room like tiny knives, each one cutting a little deeper than the last. Nathan heard every sentence but never responded. Years of hardship had taught him that silence often revealed more about others than arguments ever could. The evening grew louder as the host announced that the final contract of the night would officially launch a $1 billion expansion project capable of creating thousands of new jobs across the country. Excitement filled the ballroom. Every executive hoped to shake hands with the mysterious owner who would sign the agreement. Very few people had ever met him because he rarely appeared in public, preferring to let his employees receive recognition while he worked quietly behind the scenes. As waiters moved through the crowd, Matthew grabbed a fresh glass of expensive red wine while continuing to mock Nathan. He deliberately stepped closer, pretending to lose his balance. The glass tilted forward, soaking Nathan's jacket, shirt, and tie in front of everyone. The ballroom erupted with uncomfortable laughter. Instead of apologizing, Matthew sarcastically suggested that perhaps the cleaning staff could help someone dressed like him. More laughter followed. Even people who knew better remained silent, afraid to challenge the growing embarrassment. Nathan slowly removed his stained jacket and folded it neatly over his arm. His face revealed neither anger nor humiliation, only sadness. Not sadness because of the ruined suit, but because so many successful people had forgotten what dignity looked like. Years earlier, Nathan himself had experienced nights without food after losing both parents in a devastating highway accident. He had worked construction during the day and attended college at night, sleeping inside his old pickup truck whenever rent became impossible. Every painful chapter had taught him compassion instead of bitterness. Success had eventually found him, but humility had never left. Moments later the lights dimmed, and the master of ceremonies stepped onto the stage with a smile that immediately quieted the ballroom. He announced that the owner of the company funding the historic agreement had finally arrived and invited him to the stage for the official signing. Everyone turned toward the grand entrance expecting a famous billionaire surrounded by security guards and photographers. Instead, Nathan calmly walked forward. Confusion spread across every table. The laughter disappeared. Matthew's face turned pale as the realization struck him harder than any public embarrassment ever could. The man they had mocked, ignored, and humiliated was the founder, majority owner, and chairman of the very company preparing to invest $1 billion into their future. Every executive stood frozen while Nathan climbed the stage wearing only his wine-stained shirt. The silence inside the ballroom became overwhelming. Nathan looked across the sea of faces before him. He could have exposed every insult. He could have demanded apologies or cancelled the agreement with a single signature left unfinished. Instead, he quietly thanked everyone who had dedicated years of honest work to building businesses that served their communities. Then he paused. He explained that every company eventually reaches a moment when profits are no longer the greatest measure of success. Character becomes the real currency. Buildings can be rebuilt. Markets recover. money returns. But once respect disappears, trust begins to collapse. He admitted that he intentionally attended every major event dressed simply because appearances often revealed the hidden values inside people far more honestly than interviews or speeches ever could. Many guests lowered their heads in shame. Some wiped away tears. Others realized they had laughed simply because everyone else had laughed. Nathan reminded them that greatness is never proven by how someone treats powerful people. It is proven by how they treat the person they believe has nothing to offer. Matthew slowly approached the stage after the ceremony ended. His confidence had vanished. Tears filled his eyes as he admitted that ambition had blinded him and success had filled him with pride instead of gratitude. He expected Nathan to reject him completely. Nathan placed a hand gently on Matthew's shoulder. He said that forgiveness never erases consequences, but it creates the opportunity for transformation. Matthew would keep his position, but he would spend the next year leading the company's volunteer outreach programs, working directly with struggling families, homeless veterans, and unemployed workers across America. If he truly wished to become a leader, he first needed to become a servant. Over the following months, Matthew's life changed completely. The people he once overlooked became his greatest teachers. He listened to stories of sacrifice, resilience, and hope that no boardroom presentation could ever teach. His heart softened. His leadership transformed. Employees noticed that the arrogant executive who once judged people by their appearance now greeted janitors, receptionists, and security guards with genuine respect every morning. Years later, employees still remembered the night a stained shirt became more powerful than an expensive tuxedo. They remembered that one quiet man had protected his dignity instead of his pride and changed an entire corporate culture without raising his voice. The billion-dollar contract brought prosperity to thousands of families, but Nathan believed its greatest achievement was reminding successful people that kindness will always be worth more than wealth. Before this story ends, tell us in the comments, have you ever been judged unfairly because of your appearance, or have you witnessed someone else being treated that way? If this story truly touched your heart, please like, comment, share it with someone who needs this reminder, and subscribe for more stories that celebrate kindness, humility, and the power of second chances.